Before we go into the chapter of risk management, we need to understand what is risk. Few months from now, you are going to be a chartered accountant. You have several options before you once you qualify as a CA. But in this example, I am going to take the two most popular options. One is practice, another is employment. Now my question to you, which is more risky, practice or employment? One more example. If you are an investor and I give you two options, put your money in bank deposits or put your money in stock market. Now, one more question to you. Which among them is more risky? The answer to both the questions is quite obvious. In the first case, practice is more riskier. In the second case, investing in stock market is more riskier. But why? In employment, you get an assured salary every month. In practice, your income is unpredictable. From bank deposit, you get a certain interest every year. But in stock market, you do not know what is going to be your return. So what is risk? Risk is nothing but uncertainty of the outcome. Having understood risk, we have to understand what are the different types of risk. In our syllabus, risk is categorized into four. The first one is called as strategic risk. The second one is compliance risk. The third one is operational risk. And the fourth one is financial risk. As chartered accountants, it is our core competence to understand and manage financial risk. And that financial risk is again subcategorized into 5 parts. The first one is called as counterparty risk. The second one is political risk. Third one is interest rate risk. The fourth one is foreign currency exchange rate risk. And the fifth one is called as liquidity risk. We will move on to understand each risk in detail. First, let us take a look at strategic risk. We all know every business entity will be having some strategy or roadmap to achieve its goals. But when the business environment changes, these strategies could either become ineffective or it can totally fail. Now, this risk of the strategy becoming ineffective or failing totally is called as strategic risk. Now, the strategic risk could arise because of multiple reasons. It could be because of change in technology. It could be because of change in customer expectation. It could be because of arrival of new competitors. It could be because of increase in cost of inputs or change in trends. The only way an entity can overcome the strategic risk is to closely monitor what is happening in their business environment. They also need to be flexible and quick to re-strategize their original strategy. To help you understand strategic risk better, I will give you an example of what happened in 2020. In 2020, all the educational institutions were forced to stop because of the pandemic. Now, all the original plans and strategies that these people had failed totally. So what do? Some people were quick to adapt to the change and they shifted to online classes. Others did not do that. People who adapted and re-strategized, they survived and in fact they grew. Others were left behind. That is an example of strategic risk. The second type of risk is called as compliance risk. This is risk of non-compliance of rules and regulations applicable to a company. Now, this could either happen because of not understanding the rules and regulations properly, which means it happens not intentionally, or some companies, mischievous companies, might even not comply with the rules and regulations intentionally. Now, what is the consequence of this risk? It is very simple. They will be forced to pay lots of penalties or sometimes face prosecution. The third type of risk is called as operational risk. Now, this is the risk of an entity not having the ability to manage its day-to-day operations. This risk could either be because of reasons inherent to that business. I will give you an example. In banks, handling cash is always a risk. Or it could be because of managerial ineffectiveness. Kingfisher Airlines is a big example for that. Now, the business can overcome operational risk by setting up sound processes and also by constantly monitoring what is happening inside the organization. Now, let us move on to financial risk. Financial risk is when uncertainties will affect you financially. To understand financial risk, we have divided it into 5 types of risk. The first type of financial risk is called as counterparty risk. This counterparty risk is something that affects everybody. If your debtor or your borrower doesn't give you the money on time or he doesn't give you at all, you paid an advance to your supplier, he doesn't deliver the goods or he doesn't provide you the service that he promised. These are all counterparty risk. And when this happens, your financials are affected severely. The second type of risk is called as political risk. When I talk about political risk, it is nothing but risk a business entity is suffering because of decisions of the government. You can understand this better with a few examples. Let us say if India declares a war with China. Many manufacturers who are depending on China for their raw material will get affected. Demonetization is another example where a government decision affected many entities severely. Restriction or relaxation of imports or exports is another government decision that could affect you severely. I'll just give you a small example. Let us say government relaxes the export of cotton. Now this cotton is the primary raw material for the garment industry. When they relaxes the export, what happens? The price of the cotton will go up and the garment industry will get affected adversely. Unfriendly or draconian tax laws are one another political risk an entity will face. Moving on to the third type of financial risk, it is called as interest rate risk. We all know interest rate is not constant. Whenever government feels they need to change interest rate, they will do it through Reserve Bank of India. Now, how does it affect us? A borrower will get adversely affected when the government decides to increase the interest rate because his interest payout will shoot up. A depositor will get affected when the government decides to bring down the interest rate because the interest income that he will be earning will get affected. The fourth type of financial risk is called as exchange rate risk. We all know the exchange rate is also not constant. It keeps on changing. But this risk generally does not affect everybody. Mainly, it affects 2 categories of people. One category is importers and exporters. The second category is cross-border investors. Now, when the exchange rate moves unfavorably, then for these set of people, either their outflow will increase or their inflow will come down. The last type of financial risk is called as liquidity risk. We all know what is liquidity risk. It is nothing but inability of an entity to meet its cash commitments. This could be because they are earning lesser than projected cash inflow or they are spending more than projected cash outflow. I hope you understood the different types of risk and different types of financial risk. In the next video, we will be learning how to manage the financial risk. Thank you.